It was after midnight when police burst into Breonna Taylor's home on March 13, 2020. Within minutes, the 26-year-old black woman was dead. No drugs were found, no crime was uncovered, but Breonna's life was stolen in one of the most infamous cases of police violence in recent history. Her story is not just about one tragic night, it's about systemic racism, sexism, and the devaluation of black women's lives in America. Welcome back to Silent Scars, where we examine true crime cases through the lens of racism and sexism. Today, we're looking at the story of Breonna Taylor, a young woman who should still be alive today. Her killing sparked protests across the world, but more importantly, it exposed deep cracks in policing, justice, and how black women are treated in America. Breonna Taylor was not just a name in the news. She was a daughter, a partner, and a frontline healthcare worker. As an EMT, she dedicated her life to saving others. Friends described her as joyful, ambitious, and deeply caring. She dreamed of marriage, family, and building a long career in healthcare. But all of those dreams ended on March 13, 2020. That night, police in Louisville, Kentucky, executed a no-knock warrant at her apartment. They were investigating a suspected drug operation linked to her ex-boyfriend. But Breonna herself was not a target. She was not a suspect. She was simply living her life, and suddenly became the victim of a broken system. Shortly after midnight, as Breonna and her boyfriend Kenneth Walker were asleep, officers forced their way inside. Imagine being woken up in the middle of the night by your door being smashed open. No warning, no clear announcement. Kenneth thought intruders were breaking in. He grabbed his licensed firearm and fired a single warning shot. That single shot would seal both of their fates. Police unleashed a barrage of bullets. Over 30 rounds were fired. Breonna was struck multiple times and collapsed in her own hallway. She never stood a chance. And the most shocking part? No drugs were ever found. The raid that ended her life was based on bad information, sloppy police work, and reckless decision-making. But instead of accountability, the system twisted the narrative. Kenneth Walker, who thought he was defending his home, was charged with attempted murder for firing one shot at police. Meanwhile, the officers who fired dozens of rounds faced almost no consequences. Months later, one officer was finally charged, but not for killing Breonna. He was charged with wanton endangerment for bullets that entered her neighbors' apartments. Think about that. The walls of her neighbors received more justice than Breonna Taylor's body. This injustice sparked outrage across the nation. People poured into the streets chanting her name. Say her name, Breonna Taylor. Breonna's death is not just about police misconduct. It's about the intersection of race and gender. When black men are killed by police, their stories sometimes gain national attention. But when black women are victims, their stories are often ignored, underreported, or dismissed. In fact, Breonna's killing was barely covered at first. It only became a national story after months of grassroots activism, social media campaigns, and protests. This reflects a painful reality. Black women are often invisible in conversations about justice. The stereotype of the strong black woman suggests they don't need protection, compassion, or empathy. But Breonna's death shattered that myth. She was unprotected, she was denied compassion, and she was denied justice. By the summer of 2020, Breonna's name was everywhere. Alongside George Floyd, she became a rallying cry for the Black Lives Matter movement. Murals were painted, streets echoed with chants. Millions of people across the world demanded accountability. And yet, no officer has ever been convicted for her killing. Her case has become a symbol of how difficult it is to hold police accountable in America, even in the face of overwhelming evidence and public outcry. Breonna Taylor was more than a victim of a broken system. She was a healthcare worker during a pandemic, a daughter who made her mother proud, and a young woman with a future full of dreams. Her death shows how systemic racism and sexism work together to deny black women justice, even in death. And the question remains, if Breonna Taylor had been white, would she still be alive today? Would her killers have faced real consequences? Or would the system have still found a way to excuse them? This was Silent Scars, where we shine a light on true crime cases shaped by racism and sexism. If you believe Breonna Taylor deserves justice, share this video so her name is never forgotten. And let me leave you with this question. Do you think the system will ever change? Or will black women always have to fight twice as hard just to be heard?